Welcome to Making Sales Simple, podcast by Helen T-Bay, the sales lady. How to sell without feeling pushy, so it just feels easier. Now, I don't want to be too pushy, comes up so much in sales and selling that I thought it deserved its own video. So we can put it to bed and you know how to sell and it feel a lot easier and lighter without worrying too much about, is this a step too far? A client's gonna think you're being too salesy and too pushy. The thought itself is so unhelpful because when you think you might be a bit much or salesy or pushy for your clients, it's gonna stop you from doing or saying something that you would normally do if you just didn't have that thought. For example, inviting people to have sales conversations with you, asking people if they want to work with you, talking about the offer and the pricing, sending invoices and asking people to pay you. It shows up everywhere within the sales conversation. And when it does, this is what keeps us unpaid, feeling that we're not capable of selling, that our prices are too high, no one's gonna pay it, and generally just feeling crap and rubbish. So where does this thought originate from? Well, there's two schools of thought here. The first one is you forget the value that you deliver for your customer. Now, this happens more so for service-based businesses when there isn't a physical product and we're the ones usually delivering the work. And we forget that in exchange for time, attention, and money, your client is getting tremendous value and help with something that they cannot do on their own. If they could do it on their own, they wouldn't be having conversations with you or searching for a solution or an answer. And so it can feel pushy when we forget this because we think they're going to pay us lots of money and then they're getting the worse off kind of bum end of the deal somehow. And it just isn't true. They're getting exceptional value, way more than what you charge them, but we need to channel into that. And I really just want you to remember this because often we just forget that you know your craft an area of expertise really, really well. So when we think about it, what we're giving in terms of knowledge transfer sounds very simplistic, like they're not going to gain anything meaningful from what you've said or done, and the result is all just seems really simplistic to you. And of course you're going to think this is too simple because this is knowledge that you've owned for a long time. You've heard it over and over again, often over years and decades, but your clients will be hearing this, some of them, for the very first time, and they're going to think it's mind-blowing stuff because they don't know what you know. And because there's this injection of knowledge and skill that's done something for your clients, it means there's impact and value, and of course they're going to want to pay you for that. So the second school of thought is that you're actually, in fact, pushing for your own gain. And there's no judgment when I say this because I've done this before. You're going to do this again and again. And yeah, of course it's going to feel pushy for you because you are thinking more of your needs and your clients. And it's really easy to slip into this. We're all human. It's like I say, I've done it. It's probably going to happen again at some point. So it's quite a natural train of thought to have. But of course, it's just not helpful. And it's going to cause that feeling of uncomfortableness. So it might be, oh, I need this sale, I need this client to convert, I need the cash in the bank. You have a sales call, it feels weird for you, it feels weird for the client, like you're pursuing them somehow or trying to control the outcome because you have that thought, this needs to go somewhere, this needs to convert, I've got to make a sale, or insert your flavour of choice of negativity. And it's not a strategy that's going to have you making more sales or making more money. So the first thing is just notice when this is happening, when you're in your own thinking, because this is key. Once you can see it and once you can see what's making you feel pushy, you can start to shift to something more helpful. So whenever I get that pushy feeling, I'm like, is it for my own gain? Yeah, okay, it is, yeah. The quickest antidote to this is to change the purpose of the sales call in your head. It's not how can I sell to this person, how can I sell at all costs, how can I make a sale, I need to make them a client. We need to shift that towards how can I help them, how can I help them make a decision, how can I get them from feeling stuck, how can I get them started on this journey somehow. And that is going to feel so much lighter, so much easier for you and your client. Now, if you have the thinking that you're being pushy, the likelihood of you actually behaving like a pushy person is slim to none because you won't be anywhere near pushy on the spectrum, but you'll be over here on the opposite end. And that's not a good place to be either for you or your client. That's what keeps you unpaid as well, because it's too passive, where you're really giving far too much consideration to what other people think about you, what your client thinks about the offer, your approach, your pricing, and we simply do not know what they think until we ask them. So either end of this spectrum is not great, too pushy, too passive. So remember, each time you ask a client to do something, like, would you like to have a chat about that? Do you want to have a consultation call? Do you want to have a free consultation session? Or should I send you an invoice so we can get started? They can say yes or no. You are simply inviting them to take the next step. They are in control as to what they do next and how they think about that. That's not something we're in control in. They have what we call agency, which is responsibility and ownership of their own decision-making abilities. So if it makes you feel better, you don't actually own Pushy at all. Your client does. Your client will tell you whether something's too much or not. And what I mean by that is you can ask 100 people, is doing XYZ being too pushy? And you would get 100 different responses. And all of them are okay because there's simply too many variables to get the perfect balance of pushy. So you need to start being okay with hearing some of the clients' responses and start to be more open to explore and help clients to make decisions so they can get what they came for instead of making it mean something about you, your offering, your pricing, and that you're going to be too pushy and you can't help them. If you do not help them in the sales conversation because you worry about being too pushy, they won't get the help they need from you. They're going to go elsewhere and someone else will be brave enough to ask those exploratory questions and they'll end up helping and they'll get paid instead. You won't. And even if they do not go ahead with you, clients will find this type of interaction highly valuable. You'll still be helping them. So an example of someone saying, I'm saying I can't afford it, but actually what I really mean is I'm scared to spend the money in case I don't get a result. That thought's going to keep that person stuck unless they move past it and explore it with someone like you, someone who's an expert. But if you think it's too pushy to talk about money and what comes up for them when they think about spending it on your offering, then you'll never be the person that helps them move past all of this because you won't move past it yourself. You're simply aiding them staying stuck, and that is not customer focused at all. So the final consideration is, can you be okay with being pushy on behalf of your client? It's not such a bad thing. What if we push them to see that they can get started quicker, they can access what they wanted sooner, we can help them to make a decision a bit quicker than sitting and thinking about it, all that anxiety that comes with that. Pushing them to do more because you know that they can and that's what's in their best interest. That's when push is a great thing. So it's not always a bad thing. So just to summarise, the first thing is being pushy can be a great thing, especially when you want them to get help quicker. You're the person that can help expedite this whole process of them getting started. The second thing is pushy can come from you simply forgetting the amazing value that you offer them and the compound value that keeps on giving with them after you've finished working together. So as an action, I want you to write down 20 ways that your offering is so much more valuable than what you charge them, and I want you to see what comes up. Thank you for listening to Making Sales Simple, a podcast by Helen Tebay, the Sales Lady. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow me on Spotify for more.